Giuseppe Garibaldi was an Italian revolutionary and international warfighter. As Garibaldi was very popular throughout the world, there were many belligerent factions that named their units after him, two of which were the Garibaldi Guard and Garibaldi Legion in the U.S. Civil War, and both were on opposite sides of the war. Following the outbreak of the American Civil War, Abraham Lincoln had asked Garibaldi to become a major general in the Union Army, and Garibaldi had thought that Lincoln was asking him to lead the entire U.S. Army. Either way, he was down for joining the Union, as long as Lincoln was waging a war with the Confederates to abolish slavery, which Lincoln wasn't doing in 1861. So Garibaldi politely told Lincoln that he supported the Union ideologically and sat out the Civil War. The 39th Infantry Regiment, aka the Garibaldi Guard, was then formed in 1861. The regiment was divided into 11 companies of men of different national heritage, 3 being from Germany, 3 Hungarian, 1 Swiss, 1 Italian, 1 French, 1 Portuguese and Spanish, and another company composing of 4 different nationalities. The 39th was assembled in New York City by the Union Defense Committee under the leadership of Colonel Frederick George Deut, who had previously served as a lieutenant in the Austrian army, but defected to the Hungarian revolutionaries in the Hungarian Revolution of 1848, where he attained the rank of major and was captured and sentenced to death. He then escaped to the Ottoman Empire, went to Greece, Italy, England, Canada, and eventually ended up in the United States in 1860, where he became a colonel. The Garibaldi Guard's uniforms were based on a combination of the Italian Bersaglieri troop uniforms and also took inspiration from the red shirts of Garibaldi's Expedition of the Thousand in the Italian War of Independence. Their hats had a distinct black brim and dark chicken feathers, and their jackets were 6-button tunics with red collars, cuffs, and trim, and they also wore dark blue trousers trimmed with red outseam. The 39th Regiment first deployed to Washington, D.C., and in July of 1861, the unit participated in the movement of the army towards the Manassas. The regiment saw minor action in the First Battle of Bull Run, and there were some mutinies due to ethnic tensions in the regiment, but they ended with Deut's presence. You see, the colonel was also attempted to Americanize German units as he only accepted things written in English, and this was strongly disliked by the Germans. He was a harsh disciplinarian for drunkenness and misconduct within the army. The colonel would then be arrested after a quarrel with his commanding officer and give command over to fellow Hungarian Julius Stahel, but Stahel would be promoted and Deut returned. The Garibaldi Guard then took part in the Battle of Cross Keys with former U.S. presidential candidate and now Major General John C. Fremont. However, Deut would be captured and repatriated back for a court-martial, where most of his commanding officers and enlisted men defended the colonel, except of course the Germans. Deut would, however, be relieved of his command, and the 39th fought at the Battle of Gettysburg with many casualties. The Garibaldi Guard would then fight at the Battle of Bristoe Station in October of 1863, and 1864 saw them at the Battle of the Wilderness, Siege of Petersburg, and the First Battle of Deep Bottom, all in Virginia. Commanding officers of the Garibaldi Guard were Colonel Frederick George Deut, who was dismissed on May 29, 1863, Major Hugo Hillebrandt, and yes, his rank and first name are both Major. He commanded at Gettysburg and was wounded on July 3, 1863. Major Daniel Woodall led the Guard from July 30th to October 5, 1863, and had originally been detached from the 1st Delaware Infantry Regiment and only temporarily commanded the regiment. The last was Colonel Augustus Funk, who led the Garibaldi Guard until it disbanded on July 1, 1865. During the Garibaldi Guard's period of service, 5 officers and 62 enlisted men were killed in action, 3 officers and 49 enlisted men died of wounds received from battle, 1 officer and 158 enlisted men died of disease and other causes, 1 officer and 99 enlisted men died while in captivity by the Confederate Army. In total, 278 men, including 9 officers and 269 enlistees, died while serving in the 39th Regiment, aka the Garibaldi Guard. However, despite Garibaldi's vocal support for the Union, his name would be also used by the Confederates with the Garibaldi Legion. The 6th Louisiana Infantry Regiment European Brigade was also known as the Garibaldi Legion, which was formerly referred to as the Italian Guards Battalion. These Confederate militiamen were all known for showing their ethnic pride and wearing their black feathered hats with plumes in the Italian national colors, as well as adopting the red uniform worn by Garibaldi soldiers. During its peak membership, the 6th Regiment European Brigade numbered around 500 soldiers, with the vast majority of them being first or second generation immigrants from Europe, notably from Italy. Officers of the Garibaldi Legion were Lieutenant Colonel Joseph G. Della Valle, Captain Marzani Guadiazzo, Captain Giuseppe Santini, First Lieutenant Ulysses Marioni, and Second Lieutenant Ernesto Baselli. The Garibaldi Legion was primarily tasked with protecting the city of New Orleans from a Union invasion and from civil unrest in the city. Because most regular units had been sent out to the front lines, the state became virtually defenseless. The Legion acted as Louisiana's home guard and participated in the battles of Forts Jackson and St. Philip from April 18th to the 28th in 1862. The brigade would then be present at the capture of New Orleans, where the Union captured the city, and the Garibaldi Legion disbanded on May 2nd, one day after the city's capture. Did you know about the Garibaldi Guard and Garibaldi Legion before this video? Is there anything that I left out or forgot to mention? What other units named after Giuseppe Garibaldi should I cover? Write in the comments below, and thank you for watching.